What's up, guys? I'm here with my guy Broshmo. We're doing a full first round mock draft, 32 teams. We're gonna go ahead and rotate picks. Bro, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people where they can find you. A lot of my fans might already know who you are and where they can find you, but give them a heads up.
Yeah, you can find me on the YouTube if you love the NFL draft. I do the NFL draft. That's kind of my sweet spot. I do other NFL content as well, but I'm kind of the draft guy on YouTube. And you could also catch me on the X because I need to do a better job on X, Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it. I'm just more of a repost and troll occasionally type of guy there, but we'll see. I mean, I'm going to get deep into the 2026 class early, so I'll be posting a lot of stuff on both the channel and the X account.
Ooh,
Just
okay,
sounds
okay.
naughty saying it that way.
It does. I've never liked the X. I still call it Twitter. I'm old school and I refer to it as Twitter, but I'll say Twitter X sometimes. But yeah, I'm the same way. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. I figured I'll let you go ahead and start. You'll do the odds, I'll do the evens, but I will. No, Dolphins are even. Okay, so it's perfect. Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so you go ahead. You're gonna get it started then. So I'm gonna let you take it off. You're starting with the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I mean, it's reported Cam Ward been in favorite. He's already playing Fortnite, talking about Calvin Ridley and Traylon Burks being his like top 4 wide receivers in the league. So
Hmm.
it's going to be Cam Ward. And I get it. You're picking first overall. You want to take a swing on quarterback if you feel you need it with Will Levis, how he played last year. You probably need it. So they get their hopefully quarterback of the future, and Brian Callahan gets to draft his guy.
Hey, no argument here, man. I think that's pretty much how the draft is going, and then it's pretty much going to start right here at pick 2 with the Browns. And we're more than welcome. We can bounce these back ideas back and forth off each other if you want as well. But with the Browns right here, I think it comes down to Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. I'm leaning Travis Hunter here. That's the guy I'm going to go ahead and make with the pick. But I think at the end of the day, I could see the Browns going either way. I think Travis Hunter makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, I typically agree. I think he's now the bet and odds favorite there. I know Andrew Berry kind of talked more about him as a wide receiver for them potentially if that was the route that they ended up taking. Either or, they have a ton of free agents next year in the cornerback room in
Oof.
Newsome and Emerson. There we
Yep.
go. Blanked on the name, but yeah, makes sense. It makes the pick for 3 not difficult. It's
I
kind of
think
like
so.
I mean, it's kind of run the card in and take Abdul Carter and figure out what you're gonna do with Kayvon Thibodeau. And I mean, this allows you not to have to invest money on a second deal with Kayvon Thibodeau, right?
Yep.
They can maybe move him in the draft. You don't have to give him the 5th-year option. Um, or you could be like, hey, we just now have a sick pass rush with this squad, and we'll figure out quarterback later on in the draft, maybe a move up. It's reported that they're probably one of the teams that might want to move up. The Saints have been thrown into there, and maybe even the Browns. So it's who I think wherever Shador lands, it's going to be a trade up.
Yep. I
Just
believe
depends on the cost.
this is the one spot I think there's a small chance. I can't give up that the Giants might, if they are in love with Shadur, that if Travis Hunter is gone, they could take him here. But I think it's like a small 10% chance. I think 90% chance it's Abdul Carter.
Yeah, kind of depends on what the trade up, like how much will it cost to move up to get
Mhm.
Shador if he makes it out of the top 10, which it's reported that he does. It's reported the Saints don't plan on taking a quarterback in 9. So is it worth giving away that much draft capital to move up and get Shador Sanders? If that's the case, why not take him at 3? It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a wild ride.
It's tough, man. So you're going Abdul Carter here?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
I think
Abdul.
that's the money. I think that's pretty much how this draft's going to go. And then this is another spot that I think is kind of open here. The Patriots, I'm looking probably Will Campbell here, but I haven't ruled out the possibility that they could do something crazy like taking Ashton Genty or a Tet McMillan, someone else off the board, or even Armand Mimbu if they prefer him. But I'm going to keep it pretty simple here. I think Will Campbell will be the pick if things fall this way. I think he makes perfect sense. They need to get that blindside protector for Drake May. Even if they don't, even if he doesn't end up at tackle and he ends up moved at guard, hey, you still need help on that O line for the Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots are going to be like, it kind of sucks, right? For the Patriots, you felt like you were going to get an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter, one of those guys fall to you. Now, not being the case and I don't think it's really going to be a luxurious trade up spot there either. So yeah, it's kind of rough, but is what it is. It's reported the Jaguars apparently they're one of the teams that might want to opt to trade down. Guess we'll see that. And it makes me curious. Maybe this isn't Mason Graham,
Ooh, yeah.
and I've seen like Tyler Warren talked about. They do have a need at tight end. I don't. It's a new coaching staff, a new front office. They don't necessarily need to tie themselves to another Penn State tight end and Brenton Strange. I think the fascinating one here is Ashton Genty
Ooh,
being a
don't say
possibility
that.
because I don't think they're bringing back Travis Etienne. They're not going to hit him up with the 5th-year option. I just don't know about. And dude, it's Liam Cohen's first draft. He's an offensive-minded coach. I feel like this probably ends up being an offensive pick.
Oof.
So let's do it. I'm here for the chaos. I'm going to go with Ashton Genty right ahead of the
Ashton
Raiders.
Genty, and I could see it. I mean, to me, the Jags are that team. They're just in a position right now that, like you said, it's their GM. It's Liam Cohen's first year GM, youngest GM in the league. They're open for trade back if they can get more picks. The likelihood of that this year. I'm hoping they don't take Ashton Genty. As a Bears fan, I'd like to see him fall to 10,
I would
but
love
I
that.
could see this happening. That does make sense here. And in this scenario with the Raiders, this is a team that a lot of people have as a shoe-in for Ashton Genty. I actually think a couple other options make sense here, and Armand Mimbu might be that guy to me. I think Armand Mimbu or Mason Graham in this situation. What are your thoughts on that? With Mason Graham now being available and Armand Mimbu here, what are your thoughts on this?
I think Mason Graham sounds hella fun. Just get to pair him up with Christian Wilkins. They have a good rotation player in Adam Butler. And then, of course, you saw Tyree Wilson take a step up last year. You get a healthy Malcolm Kuntz. And, of course, you have Max Crosby. It's very threatening, but it there is word out there that they don't feel as confident with their offensive line, and Membu has been floated around with as a possibility there. I don't know if that means DJ Glaze kicks inside, or maybe you go with Membu as your right guard. I think that's going to be fascinating. If Genty's off the board, I think either of those options are probably on the table.
Yeah, I think this one makes a lot of sense. If it fell the normal way, if the Jags end up taking Mason Graham, I do think the Raiders can take Armand Mimbu over Ashton Genty. But in this scenario with Mason Graham on the board, we know Tom Brady's a Michigan alum, so he's not going to be against it. And having him on that defensive line, you have Tyree Wilson, you have Mason Crosby, you have Christian Wilkins. I think that would make that defensive line incredible. I'm going to pull the trigger on it. I think Mason Graham here for the Raiders makes a ton of sense.
All right. For the Jets, I'm typically down to two options. It's Membu, it's Tyler Warren. And I know I did that
Exactly the same.
I did that whole spiel at 5 about Cohen, offensive minded coach, and we have Aaron Glenn here, defensive minded coach. But for me, he's a guy that's not consistently, but like last season, over the course of his career, he's been with the Detroit Lions. He's seen the value of trenches. And at least on paper, that offensive line looks pretty complete outside of that right tackle position. So like Membu's always kind of floated in my mind as like the best option there. However, man, Tyler Warren, man, that just sounds very luxurious, right? And you get to get another pass catcher because outside of Garrett Wilson, they don't got much of anything. You're kind of relying on Jeremy Rucker to be your tight end one there. They didn't really invest in the position. I'm like tossing and turning. I think
the one reason I think they probably go Mimbu here would just be the depth at the positions in this draft. Tackle is pretty limited. You got a handful of options, whereas tight end, there's going to be some really good players on the board there in
Yeah.
round 2 where they can grab a Mason Taylor or an Elijah Arroyo or even someone on day 3.
Yeah, and I typically agree with that. Uh,
But I could
and
see it.
Membu is my preferred option there. I'm just gonna flat out say it, but I do think Tyler Warren, he's been floated around as a top 10 player, or to go in the top 10. He is a top 10 player. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
go with Tyler Warren here,
I like it.
and I'm kind of curious to just see how the rest of this kind of falls out.
I like it. We're not doing exactly the same as everyone has. I think this is something that definitely could happen. I think those are the 2 players that make the most sense for the Jets. It comes down to which one of those guys do they end up taking. I think I'm going to stay on the beaten path with the Panthers, though, because I think this guy is just, he's down too far always. Jalen Walker, I think he's a top 10 pick. I think he's probably a shoe in to go in the top 10. 8 is probably his floor. I think he's actually a possibility with the Raider or the Patriots at 4. I think it'd be crazy, but I don't think it would surprise me as much as it would surprise most people. They decided that Will Campbell's not a left tackle. If you're the Patriots and you're sitting there and he's not your left tackle of the future, you just paid all that big money in free agency for a defensive tackle position. So maybe you veer away from Mason Graham. I could see that. So I'm going with Jalen Walker to the Panthers. He's just down way too far on this PFF board. So I gotta send him in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's reported that he's going top 10. I've seen him a ton to the Jags at points, so I mean that could be an option there. But it does sound like he's going to go top 10.
Yeah.
Which now with the Saints, again, it's reported that they're not going to go quarterback at 9. And they've been a team that with Mickey Loomis, like he loves to trade up and go get his guy. So that might be a factor in Shador later on, I suppose. However,
Mhm.
here I think I think they believe in Trevor Pennon,
Yeah.
but it's a new coaching staff. Kellen Moore makes me want to go offensive. Like, of course, Tetro McMillan would be up there with me. It just sounds like the NFL is not as high on him. So I I don't know if I deviate here and maybe go defense, but I think I'm gonna go with Armand Membu, and you're gonna secure either your right tackle or you could plug him in at one of the guard spots.
Yeah. I think that's makes perfect sense here. He fits what they need. I think you want to make that offensive line better. And Mimbu in this position, he's a top 10 pick. I can see him going as high as pick 4 overall to the Patriots, but this is probably around his floor. If the Jets don't take him, he's going to go in one of those next 2 picks. I could see the Panthers taking him at pick 8 as well. With the Bears now, this would put me in probably a worst case scenario
Yeah,
here with
right.
Tyler Warren's off the board, Mason Graham's off the board, Ashton Genty, Will Campbell, all the guys I wanted are gone. And in this situation, I would try hard to trade back. I don't even know where I would go here. I think potentially the Bears would take Kelvin Banks Jr. in this scenario. If all the blue chip players are gone, they're probably going to look to lock up left tackle because of the reasons I said. The depth isn't there. We have 2 picks in the second round, but the likelihood of us landing a left tackle there is slim to none. Whereas we can get defensive in there, we can get defensive tackle, we can get a running back. So I know a Marion Hampton would be talked about. I don't like that. I'm probably
Mm.
just going to go with Kelvin Banks to be safe. Do you have any thoughts on this one?
I feel like this is the discussion where Banks starts because we see Membu, we see Campbell, they're both off the board. Braxton Jones, I'm kind of curious what y'all do with him. At that point, it's I suppose I get it. You don't want to pay him, so moving him maybe to another squad. The question is, who is that team? They're probably going to have to pay him, trade and pay.
I think the plan at this point, if we went this route, would be one of the things with Kelvin Banks Jr. is he does need to refine his technique a little bit. And that's something where he might not be a plug and play day one left tackle. He might be a plug and play day one left guard, but we don't need a left guard. So if you're going to bring him in for the Bears, we would probably work him behind Braxton Jones for this year. And the hope would be he's ready to go next year. Or if Braxton gets hurt this year, his injury setback, maybe Banks can take over. But I think that's my plan. I personally like Kenneth Grant and James Pierce Jr. more, but the NFL doesn't. I don't think they're going to go this high in the draft. They seem to be a little bit further down on them. Derek Harmon would be my other choice, but I am going to take Kelvin Banks Jr. If you wanted him with the Dolphins, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're good.
It's how the board fell to me here.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, if you think about the tackle position, those guys go high. There's not a lot of guys that can come in and fill that role within a year or two in the draft. That's why we see them go higher than you would think, either in the first or somewhere on day two. Last year we had that run late in the second, early in the third, where we saw guys like DJ Glaze and Caden Wallace come off the board earlier than you expected. Patrick Paul kind of started that run for the Dolphins. So it's a position that, yeah, we're going to see more of those guys go higher than probably where we have them, and we might see some surprise guys at the back end. Like, I think Ariante Ursary is
yeah.
totally in play as a sneaky first round pick.
Yeah, and a lot of people have Josh Connerly falling to round 2, and if he was
I don't
there at
see
pick
it.
39, I'd love it, but like I said, I don't see it yet. Like you, I think he goes end of round 1. So then when the Bears are looking, the only guy who could potentially fall would be Ursary, and like
Yeah.
you, I like him as well. I do think he's a little bit stiff, but I think he's a late first round guy as well. So it's going to be tough for us to land a tackle. That's why I went with that direction there. I had to do it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right call, especially if that's where a position you really want to address. You're gonna have to do it earlier than where you or the consensus expect it to go off.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for me, I think the Niners should be in on trenches. I see people mock corner to him, and I don't I don't get it 100% because, like, they use Lenore and they have Green on the outside. When they go to sub packages, yeah, you kick Lenore to the slot, but they have Trey Brown who's adequate. I don't know why you want to get, like, with the current status and just condition of your trenches, whether it's offensive or defensive line, I don't know why you would go anywhere else. So the question would be then who? And
Mm.
I think I'm going to go Walter Nolan. I'm high.
Ooh, I like
I
it.
believe he goes higher than where a lot of people have him. I'm higher on him personally. I don't know if 11's maybe the first spot, but with his upside, I think you take the shot. I mean, you have Bosa, you have an interior defensive interior that's largely very blah. So yeah, grabbing Nolan, who just has this ridiculous upside, and start clicking for him this year. Needs some polish, but the upside, the tools, they're all there.
If he can learn how to finish, I think he's a Pro Bowl defensive
If you
tackle.
can
He just
learn how to stay off the ground too.
yeah, that too. Yeah. I mean, he has a lot of times, and that's what he would just wreak havoc in the backfield, and he wouldn't really locate the ball or make a play, but he beat his man and get into the backfield. The Niners might be a great fit for him. That would put the Cowboys here. I think if Ted McMillan falls to 12, I almost think that's just an awesome fit there. They could really use a wide receiver. I had Luther Burden and Matthew Golden going here at different times of the year, but Ted McMillan, you have that big bodied X type receiver who can be a red zone threat. I think he's a really good fit with CD Lamb in that offense. I would like that.
Man, Dolphins. So I know Chris Greer, he's not going to trade this pick. The question is then, what is this pick? And it kind of leans secondary for me. I wouldn't mind considering Gray Zabel, but I don't think the NFL is going to be nearly as high as on him as I am. I'd be willing to take him in the top 20. I
Hmm.
don't think the NFL is going to take him in the top 20, or at least at 13. So
What are
Will
your thoughts
John,
on Josh Simmons?
Josh Simmons,
Yeah, I just want your thoughts on him personally. Since you guys need a left tackle and it was a good time
it's
to ask the question.
interesting that news just came out. I was like, oh, the knee's a-okay. He's going to be ready to
Yeah.
go. So
Week of the draft.
yeah, he probably is going to go higher than where people have him. I don't know where that may be. Maybe a 10 to the Bears could be a consideration. but I do believe that now that I think he's in the top 20 mix, even if he wasn't before, he was someone that probably would have challenged for OT1 if he
So
didn't get hurt.
if he was
It
healthy,
Yeah, if he was healthy. But I don't think the Dolphins, because like for me, the Dolphins, you're looking for a left guard. I want to give Patrick Paul. Let's see it. I
I
thought there
interviewed him
was
at the Senior Bowl last year. I love Patrick Paul, man. His wingspan is
it's
nuts. His huge
huge.
hands. Yeah.
And what you would be moving him to right tackle then to compete with Austin Jackson if you took a guy here, or have those two guys compete and then just kick the other one into left guard. It's like, you know what? Let's just get a left guard somewhere on day two and kind of like you got lucky last time with Robert Hunt. Maybe you can do it again.
With the board falling this way too, I mean, I think either Jade Barron or Will Johnson could both go in the top 10. They're both legit top 10 picks type
Yeah,
talents. So having
that
them both
would
on the board here, that's
that would be my consideration. What I think the Dolphins may do, and again, it depends how much Anthony Weaver plays a role in this. In Baltimore, they love their safeties. We saw Kyle Hamilton after an abysmal 40 time, just because he couldn't do it in a straight line. A lot of people had him outside the top 20.
they did.
Ravens inside the top 15. I believe they were like, no, we know a good player when we see it.
Oh yeah.
And I feel similar to Malachi Starks potentially. And if they could get that safety, because we could talk about our corner two spot and now Ramsey potentially being traded. I get corner. Will Johnson did like the on-field drills were nice apparently at his pro day. The numbers were kind of whatever. It was reported he might run in the 4.5s. That's why he didn't run it. Jade Barron's interesting, but you kind of worry, is he a slot only in the NFL, which has gone high. Devon Witherspoon, he was top 5.
Yeah.
So that makes me lean on getting your marquee safety in Malachi Starks.
I love it, man. Malachi's he's one of those guys. He reminds me a lot of Brian Branch from the
Yeah.
draft a couple years ago, where he's a guy who should go really high, but you get to the draft day and they just start poking holes in his game. And some people don't view safeties as high, so they'll fall down the board just a little bit. But yeah, he's a definite first round talent. Uh,
Absolutely.
if the board falls like this, I do think Colston Loveland to the Colts is just it's one of those fits that just they need a tight end. I would like to see him slide down the board and end up with Jim Harbaugh, but with the board falling like this, I think the Colts just go ahead and take him and add a weapon. They need more help on that offense to help out whoever's going to be quarterback, whether it's Anthony Richardson or someone else.
Yeah, I think the Rams might be in play for a trade up. I know it hasn't been reported, but they desperately wanted to get Brock Bowers. Didn't happen. I like Loveland to the Rams, but
Ooh,
you have to get ahead of the Colts if that's going to happen,
ooh.
because he's on. If Tyler Warren's gone, he is in play here for the Colts. So
That would make a lot of sense for the Dolphins. If you're able to get that trade down,
yeah,
then you
but
could land your
we
boy Greg
never do
Zabel.
that. We're terrible.
Ah, only
Atlanta
take
Falcons, man.
Falcons. We know they need pass rushers, but what are they going to
Yeah,
do with Kirk
I
Cousins?
don't I don't think they know that they need pass rushers. They might feel good about Braylon Trice. They brought in Leonard Floyd. And I mean, again, it's smoke and mirror season.
It is.
So again, this could all just be reports, but it sounds like that they're happy enough with their edge position not to address it in round one, which I think is crazy considering the value on the board. It's like, go get that edge. But again, smoke and mirrors, smoke and mirrors. If that's not the case, I mean, we saw Malachi Starks come off the board. It'd be nice to get someone to pair up with Bates. They did extend Mike Hughes, but he's someone that could dip in and out of the slot. So maybe corners in play with this position. Those would be the I guess you can't discount Jahad Campbell either, because I know that they brought in Divine was it Divine Diablo? I
Yeah,
always want to say Diablo because it
hmm
just sounds cool.
it does.
Yeah. And they let Nate Landman walk, which I was like, oh, he's a good depth guy. I don't know why you would do that. And special teamer. I don't think this is probably the Campbell spot because I don't think he comes back until at least halfway through the season,
Yeah,
maybe
that
the first
shoulder
6
injury,
weeks.
it's
Yeah.
holding him back. If he was fully healthy, he's probably gone by here, but
Yeah. So I'm starting to lean corner. The question is Barron, he had all the hype after the combine. Does the NFL believe in that hype? Will Johnson, is there too much to be concerned there? I still
mm,
think people will look at Will Johnson's tape from 2023 and be like, no, this is an excellent corner. I mean, shoot, he had 2 pick sixes this past year and wasn't 100%. I think I'm gonna go with Will Johnson because I'm just gonna buy in on Atlanta likes their edge room.
yep. I mean, I think it's both those corners falling this far. It's just they're really talented. I was actually thinking with the Cardinals with the next pick, I was if you take one of the corners, I'm taking whichever one you don't. They're just at this point in the draft, you got guys who in a draft that lacks blue chip talent, and you have guys that are borderline. Both of those guys, Jahdae Barron and Will Johnson, they flashed those traits to be top 10 picks. You can poke little holes in each one of their games. Jahdae Barron's he's inside, he's a little bit smaller, and Will Johnson, you question his long speed sometimes, but both of these guys are studs. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take Jahdae Barron off the board there.
Cincinnati Bengals. This pick should be, and it should be defense. And the way
Defense,
the
I would say D line, yeah, they got to at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they've done enough moves, at least for me, and I mean, they have enough investment on the interior where they brought in Slayton, they brought back BJ Hill. Last year, they drafted Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson, I believe, at A&M. So I think they're okay with the interior. I would probably look to the edge room. Of course, safety could be in play here as well, depending on how they feel about Manawari.
Ooh.
I think
Oh,
I'm
they
trying
got
to
Derek Harmon down here low. I was like, where's Derek Harmon?
yeah, it's kind of wild. I think Derek Harmon's going to be in play.
Yeah.
Uh, you could argue starting around here or even higher. I would take him with the Colts pick.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh.
I do think as a rock who's getting some significant hype and love, you have some character concerns with Green and Pierce that might shoot them down the board. Stewart, I mean, Stewart has the tools to go high. I get
He's
the
a freak.
production, but when has that stopped NFL teams, right?
I even could see him. Have you thought about him potentially moving inside to three tech?
Um, I could not full time. I could see him because he's got that explosiveness at that
Mhm.
size where it's like, hey, I just want him to pin his ears back and go. He's another dude that just needs to be a better finisher. Like his pass rush win rate was pretty darn solid this season. It's just his missed tackle rate was large and huge. But he does have that versatility where he played some nose tech at A&M last year when they went to 3-man fronts on passing situations. They kicked him inside and he did solid. He ate up double teams, but I think I'm going to go with Ezaraku. I'm going to go with the surprise play here with Ezaraku going a little bit higher than what people may or maybe feel. I feel like maybe with some people at 19, that's when okay, I could see Ezaraku coming off the board there. Maybe
Yep.
he goes a little bit higher.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's a good pick. He's a probably one of the best pure pass rushers in this
Yeah.
class. I don't know if he starts day one, but he'd come in and get after the quarterback. And the Bengals, especially depending on what happens with Trey Hendrickson, they can use another pass rusher. So he makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah.
Um, with the Seahawks, this one's tough. This would be a tough pick for me. They have a lot of directions they could go here. New quarterback, new coaching staff. These guys are just they're one of those teams. I don't know what direction they're going to go in here. And I would probably lean one of the guys that I think this was where his board starts, if it falls this way, would be your guy you mentioned, Gray Zabel. I think
Oh, I love that.
they can use an interior guy more than they could use a tackle. And Gray Zabel could fill in at center or guard. I think the other option, Mike Green, would maybe make sense here, depending on what they think of the character questions and that. I have him fallen a little bit lower just because of that. I personally love James Pierce Jr. I don't know why he's fallen down draft boards so much, but at
He's
this point,
reportedly a douche.
I've asked around, I've talked to so many people. The only thing I can hear, what I've heard is he kind of wasn't like the best teammate and he didn't like doing media interviews. But I love the dude. I honestly at this point I just want him to fall to round 2 to the Bears. But I'm gonna go with Gray Zabel here. I think he played tackle at North Dakota State. Anyone who's not super familiar, he will be an interior player in the NFL. I see him best at center, but he has that guard versatility where he could play either spot.
Yeah, that's the I like that pick. I think he is perfect for Kubiak's wide zone blocking scheme.
And Kelvin Banks Jr. would make a sense there as well if I wouldn't have taken him earlier. I think that's a good spot.
So Jahad Campbell's going to the Bucks.
Yeah. I think I've mocked him to the Bucks almost every. I think I did one where I took Malachi Starks instead, but this is just one of those picks that it's almost too makes too much sense, and it's like this is one that the ones like this, these are ones you get to draft day. Some years they work out, and it's like this is what we saw all along, and then other times it's like, well, maybe they never wanted him. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
that makes two. I think that's
I
a
mean,
perfect pick.
Bowles, you're a defensive guy, and your defense was what was letting you down last year. He's got to get things in order. They were calling for Liam Cohen to, hey, just promote him to head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to. And this defense was good when they had Devin White.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, Devin White limited in coverage, but when they got him as a blitzer, just an extra pass rusher, worked really well. You're hoping Campbell he could be better in coverage than White was. So
They're also a good enough team that I think they'll be okay without relying on him to produce from day one. They can let him come back, get to 100%, and hopefully then contribute in their playoff run because they're a team that expects to go to the playoffs, especially with Baker on that value contract. With the
oh yeah.
Broncos coming up next, I mean, D line would make sense here. I could see Derek Harmon or Kenneth Grant, but I also think they need someone on the offense. So I'm actually leaning between Matthew Golden, getting them another speedster on the outside, or Marion Hampton to be that running back. Do you have a thought on those two?
It's right now reported that the Broncos are the only team that seemingly wants to trade up. And
Ooh,
again, could be a lot of smoke and mirrors. I think if that's the case, it's because of the Marion Hampton hype and that he may go at 10, he may go at 12. And if he does make it past that, Broncos might want to make a move for that. It could also be a wide receiver, but I think Hampton is the more talked about prospect here. And this wide receivers class is just viewed better on day 2.
yep. I
So
think, yeah, with that, I'm kind of in the right line there. I think Omarion Hampton I view as slightly over. To me, the reason I throw Golden up there is because you know how it is with the NFL draft. When these wide receivers run 4.3 40s, GMs fall in love with them and they'll draft them way higher than they're supposed to go. And I like Matthew Golden as a prospect. I thought he would have been a perfect day 2 guy. I think he's gonna go round 1 though because of that 40 speed.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking Omarion Hampton.
Pittsburgh Steelers, man, things get hairy here.
We haven't even mentioned Shadur. Is this where we start talking about Shadur or
Yeah, because reports is Mike Tomlin likes him, but the Steelers are also a team that's reported that might want to trade back.
they
Uh
don't have a second round pick? So
they don't. So that's kind of what muddies things up. So like if they stick here, I don't think it's Shador. If they move back, I still think I don't know. I don't think they're going quarterback. And then again, we have no idea because right now they're starting quarterbacks
Mason
Randolph?
Rudolph. Rudolph, yeah.
Rudolph.
Yeah.
Man.
Most notable for being hit in the head with a helmet by Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, he loved it so much he decided to come back and get that twice a year.
Oh man.
Golly. I do think this is probably a trade back to get some sort of draft capital.
Oof.
But the
Who do you think would be
thing
interested in moving up? We can do it. We can throw a trade in.
we could do it. Why not?
If you have a team you think
Because again, all these teams want to trade back. No one wants to trade up.
who's on the
But you get
board
to
here.
the
Let's see.
yeah. I feel like the Giants would be very active. Maybe the Browns, because you get the idea of, oh, we have Hunter, and we get Shador.
And coming up for Shadur. I could definitely see the Browns doing that. What do they have as
Yeah.
far as picks? The Browns are looking at 33, 67, 94, 104. So they got an extra pick in there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing. I mean, the Browns it's a roster that needs to get cheaper. They will with Deshaun Watson's contract next year after you're just done with it. You don't
yep.
have to start Shador right away with Kenny Pickett.
I could see
To
any one of those teams doing it.
And I mean, they have a good roster, in my opinion. I think the Browns have a very good roster.
The
Well, I
question is,
mean,
which team's more desperate? I know the Giants need that quarterback. They have DeBall's in what could be his last year if he doesn't get a quarterback, and he hasn't had one since he's been there. But the
yeah,
Browns, they have that whole Deshaun Watson mess. And I think they would be maybe more willing to overpay because of the possibility of landing Travis Hunter and Shadur together.
yeah. The one wrinkle is this is the Steelers pick. So, do you want to potentially give a division rival their franchise
Oh
quarterback?
yeah, that's it. Yep. They'd
So,
probably rather give it to the Giants at that point. Yep.
yeah, so I'm kind of defaulting to the Giants at this pick. I just use the trade value chart because when it comes to NFL like trades in the draft, it varies from team to team, year to year.
Yep.
Depends on the draft class.
Depends on the
S-
player that's on the board, how much demand there is. Yep,
Yeah,
there's
there's
all that.
just
Yep.
too many variables to get down what exactly a trade would look like. I currently it would need to be 240, so it'd be like the Giants' third round pick. What is the Giants' third round pick?
They have 99
65.
and 105. Oh, 65's round. Oh, that is round 3, isn't it? Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
beginning of round 3. Yep.
So it would probably be the second and the third to move up, which we saw the Patriots do this many moons ago with the Chargers when the Chargers gave up their second and third to move back up into the first to get Kenneth Murray.
Yep.
So
I could see them doing it. And that's good the Steelers would pick up that second round pick they need.
with a
Or right
third
there.
as well.
Yep. I like that. Yeah. Just go
Yeah,
ahead and do
and
it.
yeah, this could be a good Jackson Dart spot for the Steelers.
And then you're having the Giants take Shadur, obviously, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at this point, yes.
That makes a lot of sense. With the Chargers, then wide receivers in need. I'm going to go ahead and take Matthew Golden just because I don't know how great of a fit he is here with the Chargers, but I see him going in the first round and I want to get him in the mock. So I'm going to throw him in there.
Yeah, I was going to take him for the Packers.
Yeah.
He was
See?
a top 30 visit for the Packers. So
And I get to screw the Packers. So it's a double win for me. I'm
right.
happy with it.
They also had Emeka Ibuka as a top 30 visit. I don't think that's where I'm going here. Ah, shucks. They love their Raz guys. I
Ooh,
think
they do.
he might go higher than this. I'm stuck between two, and this is me total projection brain, not what I would do. Josh Simmons, probably potentially going higher than possible. Both their tackles are going to be free agents next year. I imagine Zach Tom's the guy they bring back. They're just going to let Walker hit free agency. But
Mm.
those are two guys that they got on day 3. I'm kind of compelled to maybe go with Shamar Stewart.
I was gonna say I was gonna say front 7 on defense or offensive line, but
Yeah.
they love adding to that front 7 on defense. They just love collecting pieces there, especially
Yeah.
guys that are just freaks that you don't know exactly what you're gonna do with them. Yeah, I don't want that to happen. Just so you know.
Yeah. I mean, I would be considering Grant here just because TJ Sladen, he's now with the Bengals. He played a vital role. He had over 500 snaps last year. That's a lot of significant snaps you just lost
He's the highest
for
player on my big board for sure right now.
yeah, and I
I
mean
have Grant in my top 10. So
you're getting a big meaty guy. That's where I would go, but I don't think that's where they would go.
I hope not.
Doubling up on offensive line like consecutive years just doesn't feel right. So I'm gonna go with Shamar Stewart. They
I
also
can
brought in Mikael Williams as a top 30 visit, so another guy that could be an option. But I'm gonna go with the more freaky of the two.
Shamar Stewart. I think he makes a lot of sense there. They love adding to that front seven, and when it comes down to him or Michael Williams, Shamar Stewart is the guy with the higher upside and more athleticism, and they tend to love drafting those athletes with high RAS scores. So
Yeah.
I think that's a fit. Vikings, then this is one where
This is another team that wants to get out of the first round.
yeah, this is another team that would love to trade back. I'm trying, if one of the corners fell, I think they would take him. I still think they would possibly consider a corner here. I do think Nick Amanawore would be an option here, but I do see a run on cornerbacks in the late first round happening. A couple guys I like that I think are going to go higher than people see. They have Trey Amos and Benjamin Morrison ranked high, but I really like the guys ranked lower. Maxwell Harrison, I think he's going to go in the first round. And I really believe that Azariah Thomas, the Florida State corner, should go in the first round. Does he end up going, or is he an early day 2 pick? I don't know, but I actually think this is the range where teams start talking about Maxwell Harrison and Azariah Thomas.
Yeah, I think the corners in general, we're going to see maybe one or two go in the first round that a lot of people maybe have top 50 grades on, but not first round grades on. And then there's going to be, I think, a big run early to mid second, to where if you're a team like Buffalo, you kind of know you have to get one at 30 because there's not going to be uh, a there's not going to be a good crop left for you with your 2 second-round picks.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, do you think maybe Kansas City? Because Kansas City's been a team that they're willing to move up. They did with Trent McDuffie. The question would be who, and we have tackles on the board. I'm right now trying to take a gander at who they brought in on top 30 visits, with one being Ariante Ursary,
Ooh,
but I don't
okay.
think you move up for him.
No. Yeah, I think if they were coming up for a tackle, it'd have to be Simmons or Connerly, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree because you're looking at the Texans and you feel
Hmm.
they probably go offensive line. But
And
then it's
yeah,
like,
they would if the Chiefs want to move up, this is a good one. And what do the Vikings have in this? They don't have a second round pick. I'm gonna do it. We'll do another trade here. I'm gonna do it with the Chiefs. Chiefs are gonna come up for a left tackle here. 31. I'll give them 66 and a third. Oh, they are
yeah.
not interested in trading for this pick.
Oh, here, let me look real quick because it's not going to be extremely
Mm.
pricey. It probably would cost Kansas City
It's gonna cost them at
maybe
least
90.
one of these.
Yeah, it'd be like 95
95.
and maybe another pick. And I would probably say maybe a future pick,
Yeah, I would throw in a
but
fourth next year. Oh,
it may
Vikings
be,
aren't
I would say
interested here, but
maybe a fifth. I just forced that sucker through.
yeah, I think that's good value
Again,
here. The
we're not going to be
Vikings
able
get to
to
pick up a pick
participate.
here on day 2, move back just a couple of slots. And the Chiefs, the reason they do this, they're going to jump ahead of the Texans, who definitely are looking at left tackle after just trading Laremy Tunzel. I'm going to go with Simmons here based on the reports that he's healthy. That's what they're saying. If it isn't Simmons, it would be Josh Connerly. That's just what I'll say here. And then that puts the Texans on the clock.
Yes, the Texans, who did bring in Connerly on a top 30 visit. I do think Tyler Booker goes higher than anticipated, but they didn't bring him on a top 30. Again, top 30 visits aren't the end all be all. A lot of times they're bringing these guys in because they don't have a for sure idea of, okay, is this someone who's going to be on our board or not?
Yep.
And there are cases where they bring the guy in, they're like, oh, yeah, take this guy off.
Mhm. Or there's even,
We're
and
not making this
we
move.
don't know all of the top 30 visits either. I think this is something people forget. Like I've tracked the Bears, and we only know 18 of the 30. And going back a couple years ago, after we drafted Darnell Wright, after we worked him out, we asked him to not tell anyone that we had a top 30 visit with him until after the draft. A lot of teams do that. So there is a lot of secretive stuff and things going on behind the scenes too.
Yeah. So with this, I think I'm going to buy into this is offensive line. I'm going to buy into this tackle class going higher than anticipated. Cam Robinson's only there for a year.
Mm.
Trent Brown's only there for a year. Titus Howard, maybe you kick him back into guard during that time, but you know he could play one of the tackle spots for you. But that and you're kind of expecting, you're hoping that Blake Fisher takes a step up, but even then, he's not going to get playing time, a lot of playing time this year, if unless for injury. But I'm going to go with Connor Lee Jr.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful pick. It's perfect for what they need right there, especially with the Chiefs taking Josh Simmons right off
Yeah.
before him. They could even take Connerly over Simmons based on how healthy they believe he is. I hate to see Kenneth Grant falling this far, but with the Rams, this is a tough situation. The Rams are one of those teams that's hard to really get a read on.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Colston Loveland fell here, he would have been a great fit. I couldn't I wouldn't completely rule out them taking one of the top receivers, but I'm actually going to go down the board here and take one of my favorites, the cornerback. They need a corner, and for me, Azariah Thomas is a guy who goes in the first round. Where do they even have him listed here? They're down on him on this.
Yeah, he's at 70.
70 is where they have Azariah Thomas. I'm going, look, guys, bold statement. He's going in the top 40 picks, I would say 45 at most. I think he's a guy who goes a lot higher than these mocks suggest. I'm going with them into the first round, Rams right here, putting the Ravens on the clock.
Ooh, man, I love all this edge talent that's still available for me, but I don't know how much they love it. They brought in, ironically, Shamar Stewart as a top 30 visit. He's already gone.
Hmm.
I think Tyler Booker, if he's available here, there's some discomfort at that left guard spot with Andrew Voorhees and Ben Cleveland. Are they anything more than depth guys? They weren't. They brought back Cleveland, but he's fallen out of favor as a starter. They're just like, okay, he's depth. He is depth. Voorhees eventually got benched last year for Patrick McCarry, who's now with Jacksonville. I think Tyler Booker goes in the first, where that may be. His range is anywhere from mid to late. So I'm going to snag him here if he makes it here. I think this might be the floor for Tyler Booker in terms of projecting where he may go.
He looks like one of those guys that Ozzie Newsome loves to draft. One of those
Yeah.
guys where you see him as a first round pick, but it's hard to find a fit. And then it's like, oh, the Ravens, there you go. And I see that happening on draft day as well. It's one of those, it would not surprise me. Could they take someone that's higher rated? Yes. But if Tyler Booker goes first round, I, it wouldn't surprise me for a second. Now, the Lions here, with this much edge talent falling to them, they almost guaranteed to take an edge. I could see them maybe taking a Luther Burden here because they need a wide receiver. I'm higher on Luther Burden than most. But with Mike Green, James Pierce Jr., Nick Scorton, and Michael Williams is here too as well, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
Michael Williams still on the board. I would actually lean towards them taking Michael. I don't agree with these PFF rankings very much, but out of those edges, I think it'd be between Michael and Mike Green. Do you agree with that, or different where they would go?
I would like Mike Green. I think both of them kind of, I mean, they serve different purposes. Mike Green kind of feels more like that James Houston that they had a couple of years ago,
Mhm.
where he came in as a DPR but was wildly successful. But Green's giving you more upside as a 3-down player potentially in the NFL. And then Michael Green or Williams, excuse me, who's right from the bat, very good run stuffer. They love those guys that can be 3-down players. If you could develop him as a pass rusher, you will. So I'm kind of split on that.
Yeah, no, I'm with. I think also James Pierce Jr. makes sense there, but I'm just not taking him to Lions because I don't want him there. When it comes to this, I do think Mike Green, if he checks out, they would take him. Michael Williams profiles as the day one starter better because he's the better run defender. But when you look at Dan Campbell and that coaching staff, Mike Green is a guy who fits them. Like, he's a dog. He's always been called too small. He's always been bet against, and he's one of those guys who, yeah, I see him. He's a Lion here, so I'm doing it. Mike Green to the Lions, and wow, I don't want to see it because he's such a great pass rusher, but wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise me.
man. So Washington Commanders is another interesting team. Because they've invested a lot of their resources in bringing in win now players. Laramie Tunsil, I thought was well worth it. Debo Samuel got him cheaper than expected. He's there for 1 year. That's awesome. That's fine. Uh, Do they maybe make a move back? Maybe, perhaps. Right now, I'm trying to go through some of their top 30 to get an idea, but I'm going to be honest, nothing really tells me or tells me what they can do with this pick. They've brought in Ezaraku. He's gone. They brought in Josh Connolly Jr. He's gone. But at least that maybe indicates they're looking towards the trenches for this pick. You have Mikael Williams here, who, again, right off the bat, good run stuffer, can do that for us early on as we develop him as a pass rusher. Yeah, that's probably where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Williams.
I like it. I think that's another one of these that just makes sense. He's a guy who's going to come in and start from day one, and they are looking for guys who can make impacts right away because they made it to the NFC Championship last year. They're trying to get guys who can contribute right away, and at the very least, he's going to come in and be a good run stopper and decent against as a pass rusher. He definitely needs to continue developing as a pass rusher, but you see the traits there, so natural fit. And then the Vikings, able to trade back, setting in a good position
Or the
here.
Bills.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bills. Yeah, I'm off. I'm off. I was one off. Buffalo Bills here, setting to pick 30, and I'm going again with another thing I believe is going to happen here. That run on corners at the late first round. Second guy I'm doing this for, Maxwell Harrison, a little bit further down on the PFF board. I see him as a first rounder. I know they have guys like Trey Amos rated a little bit higher here and Benjamin Morrison, but we'll see on draft day. Maxwell Harrison's one of those guys. I think he's going to go very high. I'm sending him to Buffalo.
Right.
Now we get to the Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, I like that pick for Buffalo. I think he fits their system immediately. He's got a good nose for the football. He's a feisty player and run support. Might not be like the best finisher, but still feisty nonetheless. Man, Vikings. It's kind of hard not to look at Menuari here, but I don't know. He's kind of got a mixed reaction when it comes to NFL teams. At least that's what I've heard from other people. It's like they love him as a potential first round pick just because he's a freak, but at the same time, he's got a ways to go. More of a top 50 guy for us, maybe not someone we take in the first round.
I'd be scared of them landing Kenneth Grant or Derek Harmon here.
They brought in Harmon as a top 30 as well.
Oh man, I hate it. I would hate to
they
see it.
Also brought in Revel, who we've already seen some corners come off the board. If that corner run does, if it does happen, because this is the thing, good players fall in the draft. Mm-hmm. Good players that shouldn't fall in the draft. It happens every year. I think I don't know what I'm gonna take a quick look at the contracts for Hargrave and Allen.
They gave him big money, yeah. But
they gave him big money. I just don't know.
I'm pretty sure they can get out of Allen's or was it just a 1-year deal for Allen?
Yeah, I think they gave a 2-year deal to Hargrave, and then Jonathan Allen was a
3-year 51.
3-year. Yeah, he's probably more the long-term option. They did. I mean, they brought in Turner last year, despite having spent money on Andrew Van Ginkel, Dolphins legend, and don't know why I'm blanking on Jonathan Grenard's name, but I did. They could invest more, but I mean, you look at that secondary, and it's like they need something. They need to come away with something. So I think I'm going to go with a Revel. Might seem a little wonky, but in a deep defensive line class, I think that could be the play. You're not going to get that guy at probably 95 or 97. So I'm going to bank on Revel. He was a first round pick coming into the year. For a lot of people, they thought he was going to have a strong offseason draft process. Obviously, the ACL had different plans. I think he still finds a way to sneak himself into the first round.
That fits the run on corners that I kind of expected. There's just a lot of talent there that it kind of looks like they're gonna go quick is the problem. Whereas
Yeah.
other positions, when you look at defensive tackle or edge, there's guys you can get still on day 2 and round 2, round 3, maybe even into round 4 that you could still be happy with. Whereas cornerback is gonna dry up really quick, and that's why I think it'll go off the board a little bit earlier than expected. When the Eagles could even go that route here, but with the draft falling like this, man, this is a tough one because to me, Kenneth Grant and Derek Harmon are both first rounders,
Yeah, I
and we
agree.
know they love adding to that defense. If Michael Williams was still on the board, we also know they love them Georgia Bulldog
Yeah.
defenders as well. He would have probably been I would have taken him here just to have that. But I'm going to take Derek Harmon. Yes, they have Jalen Carter. Yes, they have Jordan Davis, who is entering the last year of his contract, but they've done it before. When they drafted Jalen Carter, he was a backup for Fletcher Cox for a year. Same thing happened. They did the same thing with what was the defensive end they got? Nolan Smith a couple years
Yeah.
ago. They did the same thing. He wasn't a starter as a rookie. They love adding to that defensive line. I'm just going to do Derek Harmon. And then if you want, we'll speed run through the first 10 picks or so of the second round just to kind of see what the Dolphins will get for you there. This is the most interesting part of the entire draft to me is like the early second round or pretty much the whole second round because there's so much talent here that it's guys that should be first round picks and they're falling to the second round. And it's kind of just this is where the value of the draft is to me.
Oh, absolutely. Day two. How quickly do these day two guys turn into actual starters or impact players? And I mean, people forget like day two, they teams take shots on more toolsy players that they don't plan on starting right away, but can eventually maybe become those starters that they view as potentially second contract players. Again, you get into like the third round, and it's like, okay, well, we know this guy's an immediate starter and might just be a one contract guy for us. So like there's a healthy mix of variety on day two. Man, I want to say this is probably quarterback, right?
Probably, yeah. They need one, man.
And it sounds like Jackson Dart is going to go in the first.
They always get pushed up, man. These guys
Yeah,
always get pushed up.
Jalen Milrow is going to go to the draft. So it makes me believe that maybe those two guys are the next QBs off the board. I'm gonna go Milrow with the plan that they're not gonna start him in year
Mm,
one, and I kind of sense that whoever they get here anyway won't start year one regardless. So I'll go with the upside guy. I'll go with the guy that got the invite to the draft.
his traits as a runner are special, man.
Nuts, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. And then we get to make a Steelers pick because they traded down out of the first round. And I'm actually gonna, if it falls like this, they land their quarterback, Jackson Dart, in round 2 while picking up some extra picks. So they got a guy who can come in and be the QB of the future. I'm not as high on Jackson Dart as some others, but he does have the traits. He's flashed a lot of the ability to be a good quarterback. So do a bang, bang, bang pick.
Yeah, nice. I love the tight ends. I just love this how it fell for them. This is wide receiver for me. Luther Burden. It would be a for me a travesty if he didn't make it out. If he made it out of the first round.
His highlight
Uh,
reel is insane. Like
yeah, you.
if you just watch his highlights, everyone thinks he's a top 5 pick. But man, he can make those catches. I love his ability.
Yeah, and I love guys with the yak ability, guys that just can create after the catch. That's a very friendly option for your quarterback in the quick game, just to get Burden involved. So I would go with Burden here.
I love it. And this how the draft is falling. It's kind of some of these players that you didn't really expect to be there are on the board here. Luther Burden falls to the second round. Meka Buka's another guy here. And with the Jags, I believe we took Ashton Genty in
Yeah.
round 1. So they could have come out and had another weapon for Trevor Lawrence here.
I also think Kenneth
I
Grant.
know. I was like,
He
if they
gives you
can
that
get Kenneth
meat.
Grant in round 2, I want him to fall to 39 to the Bears selfishly, but
Oh, I don't see that happening.
yeah,
Because I mean,
this
if you,
makes too much sense. I
I was gonna
mean,
say, if you think about it, they brought in one of the defensive minded guys from Green Bay,
yep.
where Slayton had a very big role in the defense, being just a big meaty guy.
Probably
And
the floor for Kenneth Grant. If they take Mason Graham in the first round, then yeah, they don't take Grant here. But taking Ashton Genty in round 1 and being able to come back with Kenneth Grant in round 2, dang. Dang.
yeah,
I love it.
feels good.
You're up, Raiders.
All right, Raiders. They went Mason Graham, right?
Yes.
Or
Mhm.
yes. Okay. So part of me, I'm intrigued by this.
Didn't they
Like
bring in the Ohio State offensive line coach?
they did that, and I was about to say I'm starting to consider Donovan Jackson here if
I was
reports
thinking
about
that
the
or
offensive line.
even Quinshawn Judkins or Travion
Yeah,
Henderson as
because
well.
you're not gonna get Judkins or Henderson in the third round. Those
Nope.
guys are gonna go higher. The
Yep.
question is who's gonna be your cup of tea? And with bringing in Raheem Mostert, I imagine the cup of tea then to pair Mostert up would be Judkins. So yeah, I feel like this is Ohio State pick regardless.
Yeah.
Henderson, Judkins, you can make a case for Donovan Jackson, but I think Jackson's played exclusively on the left side. So maybe they're, I mean, you can make a case at left guard actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Judkins. You know you're not gonna get one of those guys with your next pick.
And then I'll let you make the Patriots pick here too, and I'll do the
So you
Bears
get the
then.
Bears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. We'll swap it up.
Patriots, they went
Patriots
with Will Campbell.
getting
Oh,
that offensive tackle.
I mean, me personally, I know Emeka Ibuka's on the board, which is kind of wild that he's fallen, but good players fall. That's what
They
happens.
do. They do.
I think the better fit is Jaden Higgins.
Ooh.
Get a big body wide receiver that can win essentially on all levels of the field. Better route runner than I anticipated. Just good mover, huge garage door catch radius. He's going to create a window for Drake May to throw into. Be a good fit with guys
Javon
quicker.
Baker. They got Javon Baker, who I really like, who's a little bit smaller, and they got
I like
Diggs
him
as
too.
well.
I don't think they like him.
Oh, you know, yeah. Well,
I don't think they
new
like him. And
coaching staff, hoping the new coaching staff does.
yeah, but I mean, he was like a fourth round pick. It's a very minimal investment.
Yeah,
So I
I'm a big
think
fan.
I'm gonna. You could probably even argue edge here, but I think you want to help your quarterback with this draft. They were very heavy defensively in free agency. I think they're gonna be looking to help their quarterback. So I'll go Higgins.
I like it. I agree with that. I think, and that would put the Bears. I'd love this because I was going to go James Pierce Jr. or Nick Scorton, whichever one fell to us. I slightly prefer James Pierce Jr., highest pass rush win rate in the class. He does need to work on his run defense a little bit, but man, he's a difference maker as a pass rusher. I'd love that all day.
I agree. If not for those character concerns, we're talking about a top 10 player.
Yep.
And I mean, I still have him
He's
pretty
in
darn
my top
high.
10. Yeah. I think he's my 9th or 10th rated overall on my big board. So
Yeah. I think I got him to the back end of the teens. He's like 16, 17 for me. But I agree. I think he's still edge 3 for me, though. So
yeah, he's
I
talented.
guess be darned. I think, did the Saints, they went Membu?
Yeah, we landed Armand Mimbu in round 1.
Wally enough. I mean, Emeka Buka would be fun. He gets to reunite with Olave. A quarterback certainly in play here with the Derek Carr stuff. I just don't know. Like, is that then Tyler Shock? I don't love that. Instead, I'm gonna go with they moved to the defense with oh man. Oh, you know what? No, Donovan Jackson. We already addressed offensive line. We're gonna go Tyleek Williams.
I love him.
Get some meat in the middle. Staley, one of his biggest gaffes in San Diego, Los Angeles, was his team couldn't really stop the run. So if you could get the best run stuffer in this class, I think you do if you're the Saints. And that was a big problem for the Saints last year. They had nobody that could stop the run on that interior.
I love that one. And honestly, I probably was gonna take Tyleek Williams with this next pick for the Bears. In that situation, I probably should have just taken him first and then seen which edge rusher fell. I love Tyleek, but I love all these Ohio State guys. I'm a big fan on a lot of them. I also love Donovan Jackson, but considering the Bears got Kelvin Banks in the first and James Pierce in the second, I go running back here, and I'm going to take the other Ohio State guy that
That's probably the call.
I think Ben Johnson would really carve out a role for him. He's the best pass blocking runner in this class, and he's going to get on the field right away, and he'd be a weapon. So bring him to Chicago.
Absolutely. You want me to go in on the Jets?
Um, who do they get first round? Tyler Warren.
Tyler
I can
Warren.
just take it. I'll take. They'll go O line here. If that happens, they're taking.
I actually got a suggestion.
Oh, okay. Who you got? I was gonna say
They
Ursary.
don't have a lot of depth at safety. Aaron Glenn's a DB coach, former
Ooh.
DB coach. It's his first draft. I think he's going to go defense early. It might not be in the first, but it could be in the second. You got Nick Emanuwari still
Oh,
sitting here,
man,
right?
Awari's still there. Yeah, I forgot he was even on the board, man. Yeah, that's a beautiful pick. We got to do it. Aaron Glenn, he would love it. All right, you do the Niners.
I do the Niners. They got Walter Nolan. I think this is probably where they stick with the trenches. If the hype is to be believed, they probably want to look at offensive line, and that could be Jackson, who could immediately play left guard and be mentored by Trent Williams to be maybe an heir apparent at left tackle. But worst case scenario, you have a starting left guard. I think
Yeah,
I would go with Donovan Jackson here.
I love him there. I think him or Ursary would be good fits. I
Yeah.
think Jackson, I clearly like, is a better player. Cowboys here, I think if Emeka Egbuka falls to round 2, no, I took Tet in round 1. So, nope.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cowboys. Look, this would have been a perfect scenario for you guys, but it didn't work out. I think Donovan Jackson would have been great here. A running back might make sense. A Caleb Johnson. This would be around the area he goes, but I like Nick Scorton too much. Getting another defensive end to help that D line out. They just lost Demarcus Lawrence, so you can add someone else who's really good against the run and has that 10 sack pass rush upside. I like Scorton. He's in my top 20. So
Yeah. Golly, the Emeka Buka falls nuts, but it's the NFL draft.
mm.
Uh,
It is
and it's
tough.
good.
It's tough to find them a home. Some of these guys, there's just so much range here in this middle, and I think that's what a lot of people don't get about this draft. That the depth that goes into round 2 and even early round 3 it's nuts this year.
Yeah, his fall is going to continue here. I think the NFL is going to be pretty high on Carson Schwestinger.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, you don't see linebacker like day 2 is kind of the sweet spot for linebackers, whether it be the second or the third round, even early day 3. So I'm gonna take linebacker 2 off the board here. The AJ Speed, he's I think now with the Texans. So
he's a
Schwestinger.
he's a guy who could go late first round even, and
Yeah.
not a lot of people are talking about him. But it wouldn't surprise me if one of those teams is like, "Give me Carson Schweischner. I love his instincts. He's going to play early and often." And then let me double check with the Falcons. We got Will Johnson early, so this is good. They can come back and take Igbuka off the board. They need another weapon on offense. They have Kyle Pitts. They have Drake London. Darnell Mooney's decent on the outside, but give me a Emeka Egbuka to be that slot guy. They also they haven't really replaced Olamide Zacchaeus from a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And I mean, shoot, they
Uh,
again, this is if they're sold with the trenches, if they're sold on what they got, because they invested in guys like Brandon Dorless, Ruka Rohoro. I don't think either of those guys are edge players, but they do have Braylon Trice as well. And
Cardinals went
Cardinals.
corner. I could see them going with Darius Alexander here to beef up the trenches.
Yeah, I think low key
Ursary's still on the board
Ursary
as
wouldn't
well.
surprise me here.
Yeah, this would
As you
probably
could
be about his floor.
Yeah, because you could develop him again behind Jonah Williams, so he's not necessarily a start now player. You're putting him in a good situation. I personally think they should try to address the front seven, but I mean they did spend money on Sweat. They they got Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell's now back there on his retirement tour.
I like
So
it. Let's do it.
yeah.
That puts you up. Who's your Dolphins taking if this is how it falls?
All right. So what I would like them to do,
Let's start.
because I believe he goes in the top. I believe he goes in the second round. I think he would be a great fit. He has experience at both guard and tackle. I love Jonas Evanea here for the
Mm,
Dolphins. Very good
Arizona.
mover. I think he's a great fit. I don't think he's going to be available to us with our next pick. And we got to do something for Tua. It's like a must. So for me, this is kind of my sweet spot to grab 7A, especially before like the Seahawks. Depending on what the Seahawks do in the first round, they're going to have 50, 52. If 7A is there for them and they went elsewhere in round one, I feel like that's a good landing spot for him with the Seahawks. But give me him here.
Yeah, I love it. He's a guy who's a mauler. He has that. He could play right tackle if in a pinch. If you want to keep him at right tackle, I see him more as a guard in the NFL. But man, he's a mauler. He's one of those guys, very physical. He has power. He's more athletic than he looks. He's a good player. Oh man, for the Bengals, I'm gonna quit. I'm just gonna throw Darius Alexander off the board here because he's.
Oh, I got something I could pitch here.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it before I go. I
So
like
Al
Omar Newsom.
Golden, former Notre Dame DC,
That's a good one.
and it's not Morrison, it's Watts.
Xavier Watts. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they love what they currently have at safety. Like Jordan Battle,
He's been
it feels like they just see him as a rotation player. Geno Stone didn't exactly have a great first year for the Bengals. Watts actually played the full season opposed to Benjamin Morrison, who got beat up, I think, by 6 games, had the hip injury.
Man, Watts is
So
a good player. I love him. That's it. That's having the former Notre Dame DC with the Bengals. I think this would be a beautiful pick. Goes with Izaraku. I love it. The Seahawks started with Gray Zabel.
man,
Braden Swinson would be okay. Princely.
I think
Ooh.
so. Morrison's still here.
Going
You
board.
got Amos still here as well. Both are fascinating.
They would be gone soon here for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think because Seahawks, like low key, they have a pretty well put together roster. It's just you look at that offensive line, and it's like, golly, man. You specifically the interior. If Abe Lucas is healthy, I think Charles Cross has made some strides. Looking like the best tackle from that what was it, the 2023 class.
Mhm.
I think I'll probably go with I think I'm gonna go with Morrison.
Yeah, I like them back to back guys out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, off the
Um,
board.
Morrison was rated higher early on, but like you said, he got hurt. Xavier Watts got to elevate his stock. He was healthy all year on that playoff run, was the best player on that defense. So I love it. Both of them. Marion Hampton went early to the Broncos. Man, they could use a wide receiver. I'm not as high on Elick out of Stanford. Jack Beck's a really good slot guy. Man, this honestly, they could use a center and being in between.
I'm a big Wattenberger guy.
Oh, really? Oh, you like him? Okay.
I'm hoping that last year isn't just a 1-year flyer. Like I hope he could rinse and repeat and build off that success. But he was also a minimal investment guy, so it could be a center landed spot. It's just if I'm the Broncos, I'm willing to let it play out for another year.
What do you think about Darius Alexander here beefing up the trenches
Yeah, because if you
or
look
Omar?
at John Franklin Myers, he's a free agent after this season. Zach Allen, I believe, is a free agent after this season. I imagine they try to bring him back, but now you're still trying to replace a versatile offense or defensive lineman like Franklin Myers, and that's kind of Darius Alexander. He was used all over the line.
And he had awesome Senior Bowl. He showed that he can beat
Yeah.
some of the better linemen in the league. I'm going to go ahead and lock him in. I love that pick.
Man, oh golly, I am thinking about reunited Byron Murphy with his teammate Alfred
Ooh,
Collins,
ooh, I
because
love Alfred
they
Collins, man.
yeah, they used Murphy quite a bit at nose, and I just don't think well, they might want to, but I think he's better served as a penetrator. If you're looking for someone who could like exclusively play around that 1-0 tech, Collins, that's where he was at his best. He got used all around the defensive line, but he was at his most efficient closer to the football.
He's a top 50 player to me. This
Yeah.
PFF board, the closer we get to the draft, I feel like they keep falling off even more. I felt like they had Alfred Collins ranked higher
Yeah.
earlier
Hey,
in the
hey,
year.
love who you love, right?
Yeah,
When it comes to the draft, love who you love.
it really is, man. And this is one of those, this year's draft, especially, they're just such a difference when it comes to these. All the player ranked from 5 to about 55 or 60. They're just going to be a huge difference here. Bucks early on went with Jahad Campbell. I think there's just too much edge talent that has fallen at this point. Trey Amos, he makes sense. I'd be between Trey Amos and one of these edge rushers like Braden Swinson or Landon Jackson.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
I'm gonna go with Amos just because he's
Woof.
pretty much the last big time corner on the board.
Yeah, Amos was probably going to be my pick at 54.
I love screwing the Packers too, so I mean I gotta
Hey, well,
keep
you did
doing
it.
that.
Ah, shucks. So I took Shamar Stewart. Landon Jackson's here. So it's like, don't really want to do that.
I do like Landon.
I think because Ariante Ursary, is he still around?
Did we take him or did we not?
I think he actually went to the Cardinals because
Oh yeah,
unfortunately,
we sent him to the Cardinals. Yeah.
I only did the first round on my PFF. So now I'm
Oh, my
following
bad, my
yours.
bad.
Nah, you're good. You're good. I I would say potentially, obviously, corner. You just saw one go ahead of you. The next guy up, though, is probably Porter, right? At
Let's
corner.
see. Let's check who it has at corner. Oop, I got it zoomed in. Darian Porter,
Yeah.
Dorian Strong.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't teach speed, but he's an older player. It's maybe not ideal. Like, what's still left at tackle? If you don't mind me.
Oh no, you're good. Ozzy Trapillo's a guy I like.
Pillow, I think, goes higher than people expect to.
I like Charles Grant and Anthony Belton as well.
Yeah,
Milam
they've
Guard.
been working more towards, like many of the Shanahan and McVay systems, they're going more towards gap from their wide zone. Not saying that they don't have outside zone plays. They certainly do. It's just they lean heavier to inside zone and gap. And Trapillo's probably the better player for that. So I think I'll go with Trapillo.
I like him. He's a guy. He's Boston College, good tackle. I think he can be a probably projects more as a right tackle in the NFL, but I'd really like to see him. I think he could be that swing tackle for a lot of teams as well.
Yeah. He's played both sides, so I'm cool with him either or.
Tight end class we probably haven't
Man,
touched on enough.
it's
And
probably going to go higher than this.
yeah, it's tough. That's what I'm saying. There's some guys like it's so tough to find homes for some of these guys. Mason Taylor and Elijah Arroyo both make sense. I'm leaning towards Taylor here just because he's the better blocker, and we know Harbaugh loves to run the football. So
Yeah, he's the one more talked about as well.
yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take him.
Bills, they went with
Corner Maxwell
Harrison. They get back-to-back picks here. Not back-to-back, but
yeah,
they're going to have one soon enough.
right down.
I think Landon Jackson's staring you in the face. You probably just take him.
Yeah, we're not gonna argue it. We're
Yeah.
speed running now. There's just
They
too many edges on the board here. Braden Swinson shouldn't be on the board either. I'm taking him.
Yeah.
Uh
What did the Panthers go in the first round? Is that double dip on edge?
oh, did I?
I think so. I think they went Jalen Walker.
Jalen Walker. Well, he's kind of a hybrid though.
Could be, yeah.
He's kind of there. I think they could use him as a linebacker on early downs and as an edge on later downs. Sorry, Panthers fans.
So Texans, I think they could be a trade up candidate in the second round if Ibuka is still floating
That'd be a
around.
great pick. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ooh,
wish I thought about it at the time, but hey, it's the second round. There ain't no way we're anticipating what trades happen in the second.
never can, man.
Yeah, with the wide receiver class as it
They got
is, I
Curly.
think that should be a consideration. I mean, they brought in
Yeah.
Christian Kirk.
Jalen Knoll, Royals, Kyle. I really like Kyle
I
Williams.
like Kyle Williams quite a bit. It sounds like Noel has a bit more of the buzz,
Hmm.
but I think Williams can play inside and out. But you could also make that case for Besh, but I think I'm looking for more speed.
Yeah.
And just I Besh won't have that. Kyle Williams has, I think he was 4.42, 4.44, maybe. Either or, he's got the speed.
His
Yeah,
release off the line is just, man, it's
it
crazy.
is. Yeah.
That's
And
what
he
I love.
plays with my ball mentality. He's 5'11, 190. He doesn't feel like it. He's
Mm.
always at the catch point.
Yeah, he plays bigger than his size for sure. And he's explosive. I just think he's going to get drafted a lot higher than people think.
Yeah.
We'll go with him. We'll go with it. Ravens, they took Tyler Booker, who he's just like a Raven. He's just one of those
Yeah.
guys, looks like a Raven. I think Omar Norman Lott would make a lot of sense here, but
I think
not
they
really
like Travis
need for
Jones
them.
quite a bit, even with Michael Pierce retiring.
Let's see, DB might be the time to grab Darian Porter. Andrew Makuba, I really like. I think Kevin Winston is
Yeah, I like
also,
Winston a lot.
if he's healthy, he should be gone by this point. I'm going to go ahead and take him. We'll try to wrap this up.
Detroit Lions.
They started with the edge. They got Mike Green.
Yeah. They could maybe look to the interior with a Liam McNeil being hurt early on. They did bring back Levi and Wozarike, but I think it's only a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like Omar Norman Locke could be a consideration here then, if that's the case. Because Levi Wozarike, very interesting traits, but just never was really healthy. Put it all together in a contract year, which kind of sucks. Didn't seem like he had a big market, eventually returning to Detroit. They could also look to the offensive end. Glasgow's coming off a down year. Christian Mahogany should be that next guy up, but that still leaves one of the guard spots open. I think for me it'd probably be Ratledge.
Yeah, Ratledge is probably the best guard on the table. I love Ratledge, man.
Yeah,
He's got
he's
that
just
Lions mentality. He's got the
good.
mullet, the mustache. They'd love him in Detroit.
Yeah,
I'd hate it, but they'd love him. Let's do it. Man, Ratledge, Tate. Michael Williams is how the Commanders started out. Cornerback class kind of got rolled here.
yeah. That's why you can't. You got to take it early if you're picking at the back end of the second round.
Not a lot of guards left. Jalen Royals is a guy who's probably going to be gone by this point. Oh, wide receiver, Darian Porter. They can, with the one corner still being on the board, I'm going to take him. Darian Porter. They got to
Makes sense to me.
end the run. Detroit. Yeah.
Buffalo. I got Maxwell and I got Jackson. So logically, you want to probably maybe go interior, but I think they're looking for more of a fat boy than a pure penetrator, which Omar Norman Lott, he's more of that pass rushing type. Then again,
TJ Sanders.
I mean, they got Daquan Jones. Jones could be your early run stuffer. And then when you go to passing downs, you could go with Norman Lott and Ed Oliver. So I don't want to say it's out of the question.
Oh, man.
You can make a case at running back with James Cook. Are they going to pay him or not? But Ray Davis looked good last year. I wouldn't necessarily want to fire Caleb Johnson though. I think
Yeah.
he probably goes top 2 rounds. And I'm not particularly extremely high on him. I got him like in my top 75, but
I like Caleb. I think he's people. The only knock on him really is the speed, and
he's faster on
he
on
takes a little
film.
bit to get. He doesn't have that burst that some guys do, but he
Yeah.
ran over 22 miles an hour, and he ran a 4.5. Like
Yeah.
he has speed. So
Yeah. If anything, I'm more curious about the consistency of his vision. He was being blocked by a hell of a good offensive line at Iowa, but he was someone that had to take on the mantle. I am the offense. Iowa, their passing game hasn't existed in many moons now. So
I love it, man.
yeah,
There's
I would take it. It's 2 second-round picks. Take a shot at running back. Why not?
take a little bit pressure off Josh Allen. They probably run him a little bit too much, so it's probably not sustainable. So
Yeah.
that
I
makes a
mean,
lot
at
of
this point, it's like, okay, James Cook, I'm sorry, we're not going to pay you.
and Chiefs started out with Josh Simmons. We did the trade up, and I think adding Omar Norman Lott, that
Yeah, would
defensive
make
line,
sense.
you add another guy to help Chris Jones out, and I'm going ahead and taking it. They can still add a guard later in the draft. If they could get Wyatt Milam here, might make sense too, but nah, I'm going with it.
Yeah, for the
Eagles,
Eagles, man, they're just a sucker for value, right? They might make a move up too, depending on if there's someone that they fancy.
crazy.
The question is like what position? You could talk about outside corner. Maybe they want to go after Darian Porter, but because like any of the other guys, I mean
Princely.
Trey Amos was still on the board, but is that price going to be too expensive? Probably not. Uh,
Oluwadejo, that's a little low for him. I could see him going a little bit higher.
yeah,
Oh, Jalen Noel, maybe.
I feel that they might be content with their edge room right now with the emergence of Jalen Hunt, Nolan Smith. They still have Huff there. I don't know what they expect on getting from him, but I think they brought in Aziz when healthy, pretty good. He's going to be part of the rotation. So I'm kind of less on them getting an edge. For me, Elijah Arroyo would kind of be what intrigues me here.
He's probably the best player on the board, and when they love getting values. I think Wyatt Milam would make sense as a guy who can come in and play guard, but Arroyo's in our draft here, Arroyo's the best player on the board, in my opinion. He should probably be gone 20 picks before this.
Yeah, and they're probably open to moving Dallas Goddard. Behind him is Grant Calicaterra, who I think is a fine tight end too, but nothing more.
Goddard's been beat up a lot recently too, missing a lot of
Yeah,
games.
yeah, and it's worth noting, Calicaterra, he had concussion issues back in Oklahoma and SMU. So yeah, I'd probably go
Pull
with
the trigger?
Arroyo. Just pull the
Oh,
trigger.
pull the trigger,
It's the
man.
last pick. I'm pulling it.
I loved it, bro. That was crazy fun. I think we had a lot of really good picks there and a lot of crazy picks, but when it
Well,
comes
it's the
to this
NFL
year's draft,
draft. I mean,
there's gonna be crazy picks this year. It's gonna be
we were
wild.
yeah, we were doing some projecting there, and with that, there's going to be some stuff we don't necessarily agree with.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's going to happen in the draft. Not every team is going to score an A grade from people. So there's going to be some surprises, some unexpected things are going to happen, and if we're going to try to project that, then well, some fan bases are going to be mad.
Hey, and the most exciting thing though is the mock drafts are almost done. We're actually to the NFL
Thank God.
draft week, man.
Thank
This is
God.
my favorite week of the entire year, man.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a blast. I stream all 3 days,
Oh
and
man.
yeah, I've done that for many years now. Feels like I've been around a lot longer than I thought.
Broshmo, go ahead and tell the people again where they can find you. Give them your Twitter and your YouTube as well, and I'll pop it up on the screen.
Yeah, you can find me on the YouTube at Broshmo. I know, very professional name. Sounds like I'm a gamer. I'm not. I suck at gaming. It is what it is. You can catch me on the Twitter, the X at Real Broshmo because someone already had Broshmo.
You believe
Screw
that?
that guy.
Yeah.
But maybe you could catch me in public too. I occasionally go out. So
Awesome, man. Awesome.